Hello everybody. Brian here from quantlabs.net. Today I'm going to talk about, of all things, JavaScript. Dare I say, JavaScript has not been my favorite language over the years, but I'm starting to realize that JavaScript's everywhere. You can't escape it. It's probably probably is the most popular programming language. The first time I ever said JavaScript is actual programming is another thing. It seems to evolve quite a bit, and yeah, so I wanted to go over two resources as I've just finished off two books that I've read to get introduced to more appropriately JavaScript React, the framework for front end development. Thought I would introduce you to this book as well, a free one from Tutorial Point or Tutorials Point as well. So let's go through the first book here, Learning React Modern Patterns for Developing React apps. So this is a really popular framework out there. When you're looking for jobs, you probably come across JavaScript is everywhere, namely React. This has really changed everything because it seemed during the global sickness that when people were sitting at home wanting to figure out what they're going to do, quite a bit of people started learning programming. And one of the first places they went was to learn JavaScript and React for front end website development. So that seems to be what's happening. But I just wanted to go over the book itself. I'm not sure if this is a standard book, but you can tell this is Canada now we're dealing with on Amazon. But 207 ratings, 4.5 stars. That's pretty good for a book. This is a second edition. The thing is, when it comes to JavaScript, you need to realize that if you're new to it, you probably need to learn JavaScript first. This book and the other book as well assumes that you have some JavaScript experience. I think if you're something like me who's got more programming experience, maybe done patching with HTML here and there. Same with CSS. If you're in my case WordPress and doing a PHP patch or a CSS or an HTML patch, this book you should be able to get by. The first one or two chapters kind of goes over the overview of JavaScript, so you can learn JavaScript on the fly along with these frameworks, namely React. Now, from my perspective, how I go about learning is I look at stuff, I kind of like breathe through it just to understand the major concepts here, like hooks, React hooks, some of the other things, like Wolfpack, Babel, what they are. And this book kind of goes over it pretty good, kind of goes into depth. There is quite a bit of talk about state, um, and as you can see here, using display changes without page reloads on large scale data driven websites. You got to remember, JavaScript is built with PayPal, Facebook, Instagram. I believe quite a lot of websites are built in JavaScript, still are. Tesla's another one, and namely in React as well, Pinterest as well. So it's pretty standard that JavaScript's used on the front end and nothing less. So yeah, there's the React components, which is another big idea of of React, the framework. Also, there's a big plus here about learning the manage data and reduce the mapping. It's a little more advantageous using that methodology. You can even do looping through that as well. So it's quite an interesting way of programming. And Yeah, I don't know what more to tell you from this book. It's quite detailed. Might want to check it out. Again, that's Learning React Modern Patterns for Developing React Apps. So the next one, as it says from this website called Tutorials Point, you probably, if you're learning programming, you may come across it, especially when I'm long time ago learning Python, and I use this site a lot for references. This is a free PDF that's available. I'll put this in my description on the blog. And one of the big reasons why I'm moving to JavaScript is two things. Career, if I go about doing that again, The other one is, as I said, I don't know when, but maybe a long time ago, I'm using WordPress. I've been using WordPress for the last 10 years. WordPress has had its peak back in 2015, let's say, and everything's gone into decline. Um, I can't really say if that's a good thing or a bad thing for if you're trying to operate an online business built on WordPress. I think it's more harm than good now. One of the other big reasons why I'm kind of more interested in JavaScript is for my own development of my own website that I custom code. I think I mentioned that in a podcast I put out a few days ago on my YouTube. So that's a big driver of this. As I said before, when it comes to YouTube, Facebook, Meta, all that. I mean, we are living in a very suppressed society, so you gotta get off the reliance on other technologies like WordPress and these big tech firms to try to expand, take advantage of something that's built in JavaScript with other alternatives. I don't know. Like I mentioned, DuckDuckGo, Bing, from the SEO perspective. I don't know, but um, that's the big driver of why I'm moving to JavaScript and React, and I'm interested in Node as well for the server side as well, and the APIs. That's one of the other big things is because you know my site's been built off of uh, content and blogging, traditional blogging, and building things on top of that. As some of you may know, if you're independent or self-employed, uh, there's a big thing that's been going on for the last number of years is software as a service. So I'm wanting to move my, I guess, the whole operation of Quant Labs into a software as a service operation. Things I can provide is I don't have to rely on other things for webinars or delivering news or I just, if I custom code it, I have a lot more control over it among other ideas that I have for this thing, so I can become more software as a service. And not only that, I provide good data via Python. I've got the courses to get there. It just seems people don't want to go that route. They want to go the API route, give me something easy. I don't want to do anything and blah, 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 blah. And they don't want the bots because that's technical as well. But when you start to go into this world of JavaScript, it opens up on the website itself on how it's presented. On top of that, maybe on the front end on desktop as well. I mean, a good example of that is TradingView itself. Like TradingView, the app is built in JavaScript very intelligently with the desktop apps. And as I said, that's including support for Linux. I'm not trying to be nowhere close to a TradingView. It's forget them. I'm not trying to do that. But what I'm trying to do is to provide in the niche audience that I have among all my social media and my email, I probably can reach 20, 30,000 people if they engage. I don't know. That's another story, but the audience potential is there. But active is a different story. Probably, I don't know how many people, but it's a lot less than 30, 25, 20, 30,000. But that's how many people I have in my total across my social media. So doing the custom coding should help that. And also be able to attract new folks as well via a leaner, a stripped down website that's built in JavaScript and probably more friendly for search engine optimization as well. Because as I said, I think WordPress itself is just kind of getting bloated and blah 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 blah. Everyone could say something different, and that's fine. And it's cheaper too when it comes to JavaScript because most of the components I've seen in React and whatnot, a lot of them are open source, meaning it's free, and you have the source code. Because if you're relying on certain plugins on WordPress and they're badly coded, that can virtually destroy your business online and the performance of your business online because now everything's going AI. And if Google, the search engine bots don't like what they see on your website because of web of whatever on your WordPress or some plugin, you have no control over that. So it's just another reason why you go to it. Anyways, enough of that. Um, okay, so here's uh, the other book here, PDF. So this one's a totally different book or PDF. It does cover all the major parts of JavaScript as well as React. You can see here um, when you look at JavaScript jobs, you see all the terminology, the tech terminology. As you dig deeper with JavaScript, you'll start to see with the first book and with the second book here, a lot of that gets covered off because you're now moving into the ecosystem of JavaScript. So here you got JavaScript installing the architecture. If you want the architecture, I rely more on the other book as well. This is more like a reference, a referral. So this one also, the CDN, a content delivery network. That would make sense as that's becoming a standard now across the internet to make your website faster, uh, to get your files more accessible, closer to your visitors globally. The other book didn't mention that, so that's something I would consider and highlight from this one. This goes through the whole life cycle of a JavaScript with React. This one's important as well. The JSX, that's the uh, hacked version, I guess, the HTML between that and JavaScript itself and the server that will render it in for web servers like an INX, Inks. I don't know the name of that server, but I have been using it years for WordPress. So there's that. Then, as I said, then it gets into the components. These are very high level, so you will need to probably use the other book as well to understand components. Styling, okay, that's not so big deal. You're just changing text colors and whatnot, changing fonts and whatnot. So there's that here. The properties is another one. This is a very big deal in the first book. They've got one chapter that's very important on that event management. So this is leading into an expense manager app. Then it goes into state as well. Again, that first book covers that pretty in detail. And then we go into hooks. That's a big piece of React, the ecosystem, and how to move through these parts. HTTP client with the REST as well. Obviously, the other one, the file format is JSON. This fetch feature in the React world, the first book covers a good chunk of that when you're interfacing with an API. The other thing is with all of this, as I said, I got good data. How do I deliver it? It's delivered through API. And I've kind of gone through the last couple of weeks prior to this, going on about learning about Python to deliver the API via it could be Flask, it could be Fast API. It looks like Fast API is quickly becoming the standard now for API in Python as the part of the backend. The other option is there's Node.js as well. I think that's going to be another good one to know that you can put in your toolbox of what you know when it comes to looking for jobs as well. Form programming, that's pretty well output. Routing, this is again getting into just basic concepts of web development. Let's call it HTML. This is where I always thought JavaScript was just like a glorified HTML language. Boy, was I wrong. So this is where they have this concept of where you have a single page application and this routing and dynamically serving up different pieces within that single page app is important if you want to take full advantage of two things is a desktop web app. 'Cause that's kind of like the trend it seems to be. Like, you know how they say if you have a resume and it's like 5 pages, even 4 pages long, well, that's too long. So now with the websites, I wouldn't be surprised they'll at some point say, well, you should only have one page on your entire site with dynamic pieces. So I don't know how most sites can get around that. Redux, I haven't gotten in that part yet. Then we got the animation part, the testing. There's good pieces in the first book as well, the different tool box options that you have available to you um, in the first book, but they're they're not very long. But the thing is, as I said, these are two good books just to give you an overview of JavaScript on where to go, how to go, and then obviously, once you kind of have a much better understanding on the entire foundation of React and somewhat JavaScript minus the Node JS, uh, it's this is what I'm finding maybe a decent path uh, for that. And then there's the CLI, which is obviously um, running on whatever operating system you are on. Uh, the other book does obviously focus on using VS Code as your IDE for development and testing and interfacing with the different parts of your JavaScript app. So that's something I would probably look at is if you're brand new to this, look at VS Code. The first book did cover a good uh, chapter on that just to get it up and running pretty quickly. I think if you do expand into other languages when it comes to VS Code, like for me, I'm I've tried VS Code. I couldn't wrap my head around it, but I think with JavaScript, going into VS Code will be the most logical step for me to go that route because I'm for a number of years I've been using Sublime the editor, and that's what I'm used to. Obviously, before that, I was using Visual Studio on Windows for the .NET stuff, and then obviously I'd use something like Clips for Java. So with React, building, deploying, again, the other book covers that pretty good, and then there's a full-on app as well, this expense manager with the API and whatnot. So when it comes to API development and interfacing with that, with React, you have two options. This is now the back end we're talking. You have either, as I said, Python uh, can be Flask, or you could also use um, the newer Fast API. So I'm not really. I've seen what Fast API can do. I've got to dig into that. And then usually from what I'm seeing as what's becoming the popular new tech stack uh, is uh, is JavaScript React is the front end, Fast API is the back end for the API development, and the data store would be from the standard I'm seeing is uh, is uh, is uh, is uh, JavaScript and Node. So that's pretty well it. If you want to know more how it goes, I'll be putting up modules as I develop the different modules in the new quantlabs.net slash quantlabs.net website. It's going to be totally different. And then, yeah, I might make available the modules publicly as I get to them just for people to test out. And then hopefully in the next couple of months, I'll have a new website and totally move off of WordPress. And then the whole website will be changed, and that's pretty well what I can tell you. Okay, so hopefully I'll help you out with the the books here that I'm using, and let me know what yours are in the comments. Let me know what you think of these. Let me know, and that can be all done via the comments here on YouTube or wherever you get this video. Over and out.